Palette types. In this tutorial, we will jump deeper into the world of palettes, give some examples of how they can be used, and look at the different palette types Suite 2 has to offer. Look at the previous tutorial, Palettes, if you have not done so already. You have probably noticed that there are 4 different palette types to choose from. In the previous tutorial, we used a palette per fixture. This allows you to set a different value on each of your fixtures. This is useful for creating position palettes. Now let's look at the palette per fixture type. This palette type will save a value onto the fixture type. Each fixture will have the same value, but using this palette we can add more fixtures in the future without the need to edit the palette. This palette type is useful for matching colours and gobos. For example, imagine you have an RGB LED bar and an RGB LED par. You want to create the same fire red colour on each fixture. Normally you will need to set slightly different values to achieve the same colour. A palette per fixture type allows you to do exactly this. Here is another example. You have 2 fixtures with the same gobos, but one of the gobo wheels is mixed up. You can create a set of gobo palettes per fixture type and store different DMX values in each palette. Now let's look at generic palettes. Non-generic palette icons are white. These palettes store a DMX level, like Dimmer 127. Generic palette icons are black. Generic palettes store a percentage, like Dimmer 50%. Sometimes it is useful to store a percentage value instead of a DMX value. Imagine that we want to create an iris palette, and we want to set the iris to 100 on some Martin Mac 700s. Then suppose that we want to add some Mac 2000s to our palette. The iris range on the Mac 2000 is different to the iris range on the Mac 700. Therefore, if we use a non-generic palette, the irises won't look the same. If we apply a generic palette to both our Macs and set the iris to 50%, the DMX value on the Mac 2000 will be set to 107, and the DMX value on the Mac 700 will be set to 99. So to recap, a preset with an absolute value, such as a gobo, colour from Colour Wheel, or lamp preset should be saved inside a standard palette, such as a palette per fixture or palette per fixture type. However, a preset with a variable value such as dimmer, iris size or strobe speed should be saved inside a generic palette or a generic palette per fixture. Colour mixing and position presets can usually be used in both standard and generic palettes. This is because although they have variable values, they usually occupy the full channel range. The final option is to add a pre-record palette. These are a mixture of common palettes automatically generated based on the fixture's profile.